Okay, good morning everyone. I'm going to have Shabbos. We're continuing Shbar Daf Hashavua. We're learning Siman Tzadei Ches. We actually have to do the Ramah on Sif Aleph. We never read that. We did the Mishnah Berura, but we didn't actually read the words of the Ramah. The Ramah says, Hagav Yachshav Koidem Hatfila. You should think before you daven, Meiroimemos Hakel Yisala, about the elevated status of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'shiflas ha'adam, and the lowliness of man, V'yaser kol tanugei ha'adam milibai. You should remove all pleasures of man from one's heart. V'aser la'adam lenashek banav haktanim. It is asr for someone to kiss his young children, b'beis hakneses. I was wondering why the Dirshu was talking about this when the Mishnah Berura didn't speak about it, you know? The Mishnah Berura didn't say anything about this halacha, about kissing children in the shul. The lashon of the Ramah is lenashik banav haktanim, and the reason is somebody asked yesterday why only banav ktanim. The Ramah says why. Kedei lekbaya b'libay she'ein ahava ka'avas hamakam baruch hu. In order to establish in one's heart that there is no love like the love of Hashem. So it's usher to kiss your young children to establish that there's no love like the love of Hashem. So, Banav Hagdolim, we quoted yesterday from the Oirach Ne'eman, who holds you now to kiss. And the reason it said Banav Ketanim is because this is the Derech. The Ben Ish Chai concurs. Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, no, only Banav Ketanim. Even not during davening, one cannot kiss a young child in a shul. And to kiss the hand of a father or a rebbe in places where that's the minhag, the Ben Ish Chai says it's mutter. But Rabbi Sion Abba Shaul says, but others, you should not kiss their hands after they get an aliyah. And Rabbi Sion Abba Shaul says, Ein limchos biyadam. Weiter, Sipes, lo yispal b'makim she'yishtav shemavato kavanasai. Don't daven in a place that there's something that's mavato your kavana, like in the Dalet Amos of your phone. If you need to daven, make sure your phone is not in your Dalet Amos. I'm talking about whatever, you're not home. Don't pray in the Dalet. Don't pray in a place where there's something that's mavato your kavana. V'loi b'shah hamavatos kavana. So not at a time that there's something that's mavato your kavana. Nowadays we're not so careful because we don't have that much kavanah anyway. So what are examples of this? Says Mishnah Berura, shemavato kagon sheichar chadash, like new beer, shemeriach, that smells strongly, uchahai gavna. Bisha hamevatelas, for example, kagon she'in datoi miyushavas alav. Let's say your mind is not settled, me'izat tsar, something's bothering you, or kas, or you're angry, or mitar chadarach. So if you're not in the mode or the mood, then you shouldn't daven them. Rav Shlomo Zalman says that it's two people. You could daven in a place that you could have kavanah, but you'll have to leave before the end of davening. Or you'll daven in a place where you can have kavanah, but there you won't. You'll be able to stay the whole davening. So Shlomo Zalman says it's better to daven with kavanah, even if it means missing Kriyas HaTorah. Now, presumably it means you're going to have a minyan for Shemona Esrei. Otherwise, I would think it's pasha that even if you're not going to be able to be mechavein, the minyan takes precedence. Rav Moshe has a tshuva on that. Rav Moshe says that minyan is more important than kavana. So presumably, let's say Rav Shlomo Zalman agrees, you're going to have a minyan either way. The question is you're not going to be able to stay for the whole davening. For example, let's say in a place where you'll daven with kavana, you'll be able to stay the whole davening place. You're not going to be able to daven with kavana. In other words, in the place that you could have kavana, you will not be able to stay. In the place that you can't have kavana, you will be able to stay. It's better to have kavana. It's interesting because the Maisa, the Mechaber ends off that we're not zahir about this, because we're not mechavin anyway. So, like, what exactly is this psak of Rosh Hashanah? Is it a theoretical psak, back in the day that they did have kavana? L'chayr or not. He's talking about Bizman Hazeh. So, when the Mechaber says, V'achshav ino nazon b'chol zeh is b'makayim and b'shah. So I don't really get this psak. L'chayr, it's not nogeh Bizman Hazeh.
Talking about a person who would be able to have kavana.
What do you mean? The Mechaber says we don't do it. Eino anun is harem.
Because for the most part, we're not able to have kavana anyway. But maybe it's possibly if you're a person who finds yourself that he is able to have kavana in a specific place, even if you have to leave early, it's still better that way.
I thought the pshat is we don't really have kavana anyway. In other words, our kavana is not a. Yeah. Yeah, but still, this is not efshar if you have to leave middle of davening. It's not efshar if you can miss Kriyas HaTorah. That's not an efshar. Okay. The Mishnah Berura says, "Va'achshav u'pashtim kol makom sheroitz olam l'tzom b'terkas l'adam yir lahasar mitchil machshavos hamatridos ha'sechel elbas tefalef." It's pashat that when you want to daven and you're angry, you should try to calm yourself down as much as possible. We're not zahir, even though we're not mechavin. In other words, bizman hazeh, we are begeder eina mechavnim. But as much as you could do, you could do. Don't daven in a house that has new beer or made dvash. V'chol shekain reach ra me'ubash ktsas. I don't understand the psak. I mean, in other words, you have two options. I can daven in a place where there's beer that's a very strong smell, and it's going to disturb my kavana, but I'll have to leave early and miss Kriyas HaTorah, or I could daven in a spot. In other words, I'm going to daven in a place where there's beer. It's going to disturb my kavana, but I could stay there the whole davening and not miss Kriyas HaTorah, or daven in a place that won't disturb my kavana, but I'll have to leave early. I don't see how you could leave early. Sif Gimel, Yispalo derech tachanunim, you should daven in a supplicative manner. Kirash hamavakesh ba'pesach uvenachas, like a poor man who is asking at the door, benachas. You know, it's interesting. There's always a question, what does the word benachas mean? Does it mean slowly? Or does it mean softly? There's always a question about that. What does the mechaber mean, benachas? V'shaloi teira olav kemasa. It should not seem like a burden. Umevakesh li pater mimena. And you're trying to get it off your back. Says the Mishnah Berura, hamavakesh v'pesach uvenachas. Hu inyan echad, v'roitzalemer sheyomer benachas b'lashon tachnunim. You should say it benachas in a supplicative manner. These are not two different things. So does that mean an ani hamavakesh v'pesach says it softly, or he says it slowly? It's kamishim mavakesh rachamim al atzmai. V'yasim alibay she'em biyad shum nivra. You should put into your heart that it's not in the ability of any creation, malach, angel, or mazal, or constellation, or koichav, lamale, sheilasai, ki imber tzayne yisbarech. It is only the will of God. Kimasa, perosh, afal pisha imra blashan tachnunim. Even if you do say it supplicative, im einoi mechashev, k'may shetzach davar, ubal levakesh v'lfnei hamelech, meaning the mechaber says, you should be like a poor man that's mavakesh ba'pesach uvenachas, and it should not be a burden to you. Meaning, why can't he just stop by saying, you should say it in derech tachnunim? The answer is, if you're not thinking that you need something, and you're asking the king, you're just davening, well, I have to daven shachris, I need to check off that I'm davening shachris, einoy nachain. That's not correct. You have to be very careful. So in other words, unfortunately, most people, when they go to minyan, it's because they're executing an obligation. Are they standing before Hashem, davening supplicative, like you're asking a king for something you need? 99 out of 100 Chazaras Hashat says, what would you say? Is the Shel Tzibur saying it derech tachanunim, or he's saying it at rapid fire pace? Obviously clear enough that people could still answer Amen. In other words, what is the derech that the person has? If you needed something and you went in front of somebody, can you please give me this very quickly right now? So, thank you. The guy would, So the question is that the Mishabura comes out that if you don't daven derech tachnunim, don't daven again. But the Bir Halacha, there's a very important Bir Halacha here. Bir Halacha says, "Ma ma'od tzarcha adam mizar b'zeh." You have to be very careful about this. Ki yesh kama paiskim hamatzrichim lachzar ulespalel machmazeh. Many paiskim say you gotta daven again. Now that's frightening, because then it would come out that you'd have to daven again many times. Who are they? The Bach, the Oyarabba, the Beis Yosef, only the Beis Yosef, only the Shulchan Aruch himself. The Maimer Mordechai, the Magen Giborim proves it from the Rambam. Says the Be'er Lacha, Ladati in Raya Kol Kach. In my opinion, it's not conclusive. The Chahai Gavna Masha Amar Sham, that about this is that which it says there. Lefikach tzarich leishev ma'at bevadei hu rak lechatchila v'chein ha-pri megadim kazav yesh lachish lechashash brach levatala vein lachim ediyeved. Pri megadim says no, you can't go back and daven again. You have to be choshish for brach levatala. V'al kopanim lechatchila ma'oid yizaher bazeh. Lechatchila, you have to be very careful about this. Now we know why the Yisod V'shar Sha'avodah says that this is a siman you need to learn every week. Every week you have to chazer Siman Tzadi Ches. Ordinarily pasha, that even according to Maimer Mordechai and Magen Givorim, the derech tachanunim is only ma'akev in avos. There's a chiddush. This din that you have to daven derech tachanunim is only in avos. Uveshar brachos rak lecharchila. Why? Because they hold the ikar tam is mishum kavana. V'im kein b'shar brachos lehavali kuva diavad. And I would just point out that I'm not sure how pashat this is according to Reb Chaim. It's well known that Reb Chaim said there are two dinim of kavana. The cognizance that you're standing in front of Hashem has to be the entire Shemoneh Esrei. The kavana for Perish Hamilos only has to be for the first bracha. So would you say derech tachnunim is begeder Perish Hamilos, or is it begeder ikar tzuras hatfila of recognizing your oimid lefnei HaMelech? I can make a very strong case that the din of davening derech tachnunim, even if you don't know what you're saying, it's me'ikar tzuras hatfila. It's not a din in Perish Hamilos, it's a din in an awareness of what you're doing. So the Chofetz Chaim says it's pashut that it's only likuva ba'avos. Maybe the Chofetz Chaim doesn't paskin like Reb Chaim. He might not. I don't know. The Chazon Ish didn't paskin like Reb Chaim. But I would just say, according to Reb Chaim, which the Welt is very accepted, it's a very accepted concept. I would think Reb Chaim would say that if you don't daven derech tachnunim, the Bach would say you got to daven over. Lefi aniyas daiti, unless you want to argue on that. Meaning, in other words, I don't know that the Mishabura paskins like Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim holds if you're not cognizant. You know the famous stira in the Rambam? The Rambam said, one place the Rambam says you have to have kavanah l'hoshman esrei, one place he says only the first bracha. So Reb Chaim says there are two dinim in kavanah. Perish Hamilos is the first bracha. Awareness you're standing before Hashem is the whole Shemana Esrei. By the way, Chazon Ish says that when the Rambam says you have to have kavanah for the whole thing, he means the first bracha because he explained it elsewhere. It means the first bracha. That's the Chazon Ish. That's probably how most poskim paskin. Okay, let's finish this up. Sif Dalet here.
Hey, so we're not doing to Daven again anyway, similar to the first bracha, not in Kabbalah, but the first bracha nowadays. And even if you would paskin that, I assume we're not doing like this, right?
Oh, you're saying very good. Meaning, even according, the Chavetz Chaim says that the Bach would say you have to daven again, and this that the Chavetz Chaim is saying is that it's only the first bracha. He's saying Bisman Hazeh we don't even do the first bracha.
Oh, the first bracha anyway. I'm saying even according to Chaim that, according to Chaim said that
Oh, true. But I'm just pointing out that means Reb Chaim would hold you're not Yotzei Tefillah. You just you'll have to wait till Mincha to daven.
Scary.
I'm not sure. Okay, Sif Dalet and Hey. Okay. Hatfila hi b'makam hakarban. Tefillah is in lieu of karbanos. L'kach tzarich lizar shetei dugmas hakarban. Therefore, it has to be similar to a karban b'kavana, with intent, with focus. Lo ya'arav b'machshava acheres. You should not mix other thoughts. Kamay machshava shepaisals b'kadshim, like thoughts that disqualify kadshim. Umad, you need to be standing. Dumya da'avoida, similar to the avoida. Uvekvias makoim, yet to be koivei makoim kamay hakarbanos. Shekal echad kavua makoimai. By karbanos, each carbon has a set place. L'shchitasai, for the slaughter of matan damei. V'lo yachid savar bein alakir. There should not be an interposition between you and the wall. Dumya the carbon, like by a carbon shachatzitza paisals beinoi lakli, that there's a chatzitza disqualifies between you and the vessel. V'roi she'eloi malbushim noim miuchadim l'tefillah. You should have designated garments for tefillah. Kamay big day kahuna. Elo she'en kolam yachal avazvei zalzeh. Not everyone could spend on this. You should have designated underwear for davening. It says in Mishnah Berura, Beinoi lakir betor kasavoid u beinoi lakarka. There should not be any interposition between you and the floor. The kasav taz dafka gimel tfachim. The interposition we're talking about is 3 talking about pachim gimel tfachim, less than 3 talking about filu mitzvah leka. There's not even a mitzvah not to have a chatzitza. V'yesh oisrin afilu pachis megimel. There are those who ask for even less than 3 tfachim. Kamakim l'kolayama mutar l'shtech v'yam mikibur malakarka asovim. By the way, then it would come out. Are you allowed to have a mat? You know those mats that help you stand on? Are you allowed to do that? Is that a chatzitza? According to the Eliyah Rabban Lavush, even less than 3 tvachim. He says, according to everyone, you could spread out on Yom Kippur, asavim yaveshim, to stand and be mispalel, because that's batal to the karka. So l'chayra, our mats are batal. By the way, the Mishnah Berura later on in Hilchos Yom Kippur is only makel for a guy who's cold. But on pillows or blankets, it looks like gaiva, the Mishnah Berura says, and it's asar. So there you go. You can't stand on those mats. What could I tell you? You can't do it. Chazanim do it. All right. What are you going to do? They're not going to listen to you if you tell them not to do it. But if you're a chazan, don't do it. Unless you can't stand. But it sounds like it's gaiva. What back in the day, people were 90 years old, stood the whole day on Yom Kippur. So now you have to stand on a pillow. Asr lehisvalo bivricha. You cannot daven bowing, meaning when you're bowing on your knees, meaning you can't daven like this in a bowing position. Shalas Teshuvos halachas katanos. Even though it's considered amida, but nevertheless you're not allowed to daven this way. Okay, sifhei al yachshav. One should not think. Roihu sheyasa kadosh baruch b'akashasi kivan shekivanti b'tfilasi. One should not think. Boy, did I daven with kavana. Hashem really should answer my tefillah. Ki adarabba zemazkar avonos shel adam. This causes one's sin to be mentioned. Sha'idei kach mefash b'shem b'masav. By having that attitude, they examine your deeds. Loimar, to say batuachu b'schuyosav, that this person is confident in his merits. You should think Hashem will answer in His kindness. He should say to himself, Mi ani, who am I, dal, impoverished, v'nivzeh, lowly, balavakish, meis melech machem lachem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, have the audacity to ask the King of Kings, if not for His abundant kindness, shehu misnahig bahem, in Briyosav. Okay, Rabbi Isai? So the important halacha here, Sif Gimel, to daven derech tachanunim, which according to some is ma'akev, and then all of these guidelines based on the fact that tefillah is a makim carbon. Okay, Rabbi Isai, we'll see everybody Monday. Bezras Hashem, Siman Tzadi Tes. Kol Tov, everyone.
Recording stopped.